Hey folks, Keith Beers, the VE3SVQ, back with part 2 of operating on field day. So this is sort of the more operating side of it. The first one was more setup and some thoughts and ideas on the equipment you need, that type of thing. So today we're going to look at some of the operating. Now remember, we're operating QRP, so that's 5 watts. We're going to be using voice, so a little tougher to get through. Not using 100 watts. The radio actually will do 100 watts without any amplifiers or anything, but I choose to do it at 5 watts. So first thing you need when you do QRP, a lot of patience, and I mean a lot. You will hear people that you think you should be able to just press the mic and talk to. They're not going to hear you. If there's a big pile up with lots of stations calling one, the odds are you're not going to get through. It's just the way it is. Listen to the other operator. Listen to how they transmit. Listen to who they talk to. In other words, are they snagging the very first call they hear? Or are they waiting to the very end when sort of all the noise dies down and one last person, sends their call and they can pick it up nice and clear? So you match and try and figure out how this operator is doing it. And generally over time you can get through. For the times when you can't, just spin the dial and move on. There's someone else out there. Now normally, I use hunt and peck, basically search the dial till I find someone and try and get them. I don't call CQ during a contest at 5 watts. I'm just not strong enough to hold that frequency, and sooner or later somebody's going to walk on top of you. So it's a lot of fun, and again, if you're doing it in a contest, you always get your best results the last few hours. And that's when a lot of the people are already done, they've wrapped up, they're tired, they've shut down, and now you can get through to quite a bit of people. And even in this field day, that was definitely the case. I did as many contacts in the last 3 hours as I did in the entire day. Now this is what I mean by the beginning of a contest when it's almost impossible to get yourself heard. There's so many stations on right now that they're all blending in on the band. So when you try and get through, especially if you're low power, it's simply not going to work. So you've got to spin the dial, find somebody that you can hear well, and if you're running 5 watts, hopefully they'll hear you as well. Victor Echo 3 Sierra Victor Quebec. Victor Echo 3 Sierra Victor Quebec. Thank you very much. You are 1 Delta Oscar November Echo. So there you go. There's a contact QRP, and it's busy in there, as you can see. If you look at the screen here, I'll show it to you and you'll get an idea what I'm talking about. We showed you that screen, there's the screen in the evening, so we're getting a little bit later at night. The band is opening up. Look at all the different stations all calling at the same time. Just to give you an example, there's the screen nice and early in the morning, so it's a little bit after about 7 o'clock here. Very few stations on, so we're going to try and zip through some of these and see what we can get compared to yesterday when the bands were very, very heavy and crowded. So that's the current setup with the computer right beside the radio, just so it's really easy to. So there you go, that's the end of part 2. Hope you enjoyed it. It demonstrates that you certainly need a lot of patience when you are using low power, QRP at 5 watts. And I would say for most people starting off, you're better to use the full radio power. You'll go out at 100 watts and you're going to talk to a lot more people. It's going to be more motivating, maybe a bit more fun. I've been doing this since 1990, so for me it's more fun to make it a little bit more difficult, a little bit more challenging, so which is the reason I use the 5 watts. And as you saw, the difference on the 2 days, in the evening and the morning, the number of stations that are out there. So rather than being drowned out by all these other stations, when you're trying to contact someone, there's very little, and you can actually get through. And in the morning, I think I made something like 10 contacts in the space of an hour, versus probably the same number of contacts in almost half a day. So there you go, there's your difference, and that's all using 5 watts.